So today we're going to go over to the lathe and we're going to machine out a piece for this spring. And what it is this is a spring that somehow has to do with retracting hydraulic rams. Not sure exactly how it works. I don't know if it's on the side of the ram, but there's these inserts. This is a custom-made spring. So the original spring, I forget how much they said that the spring itself cost. It was a couple $100 if they bought it from the manufacturer. They was able to have these made here locally, and they were, I believe they said $30 to have this made. Now this isn't exactly per the factory specs. It's a little bit weaker, and the coils are a little bit smaller. And what they was using was on the other spring, on the original spring. That's all the original springs are wore out. So they had a few of these actually made. They have these inserts that thread into the spring. These particular ones will not thread into this spring. And you can see how that's made. It almost looks like it's an Acme threaded rod that they have just modified. To me. And so what he was wanting to know is if I could actually make some inserts that would thread into this custom spring. So that's what we're going to try to do. I've got some 1-inch 4140 rod that I think will work. I've already measured the spring, and it's about 5 coils per inch, which of course equates to the same thing as 5 threads per inch. So my thoughts are to custom grind a cutter with this radius of this coil and basically see if I'll be able to thread a 5 thread per inch rod until I can get it to screw into this. So we're going to go over there to the lathe and we're going to see if we can make that happen. So let me get set up and we'll get after it. Okay, so I've got the part. Okay, so I've got the stock chucked up in the lathe. It's 1-inch diameter, 4140. First thing we're going to do, we're going to face it. I'm going to finish drilling this hole. It's already got a partial hole in it. It's only about 3/8 deep. We need to go about 1 1/4 inches deep, and then we'll go ahead and tap it. Okay. A little oil. And we're going to tap this at about 70 RPM. And here we go. A little chamfer on it. Okay, so now let me just angle that camera a little bit downward. I've ground a cutter with the approximate radius, which is a little less than a quarter, about 200 thousandths radius. And this is that spring is about 5 coils per inch, I guess you'd call it, basically 5 threads per inch. So that's what I'm going to set the lathe at. A4 down here on the gearbox. Put it in threading mode. Okay, and we're gonna go 70 RPM, I think, on this. And let's see. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and color the bar so that it'll be a little easier to see the threading process. Well, it's not really threading though, is it? It more or less is. One thing I forgot to do is set my tool height. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but I'm just setting the tool height. Got a little custom bar that I made years ago. That should do it. Okay. Now zero everything out. Dials are zero. I'm going to zero the DRO. And I think, let's see, 5 threads per inch, 1 and 3 on my threading dial. I'm just going to plunge in with this. 1 and 3. we go. And I'm just kind of eyeballing where I'm pulling back. Got about 100 thousandths left. Yeah, we slowed her back down again. That was just too quick. See where we're at. Still got more. I think we hit it. Alright, let's make sure it goes on the other way. Yeah, it does. I'm going to leave it just like that. Only other thing I want to do, so we're just going to do this. Okay, so here we are. Here's the part. Turned out good. I didn't show milling the flats. To be honest, I completely forgot about it. I forgot the camera was set up, and whenever I took it out of the lathe, I just took it over to the mill, and I milled these flats. So the flats, the original did not have flats. And whenever they would try to take these out of the old springs, they really had a hard time. So I thought, well, if I could put some flats on it, it'd screw in easier and allow you to screw it out. The problem when you try to screw them out is the spring starts tightening up. So I actually found that if you clamp this in a vise and you get on this last coil, it helps to unwind the spring as it's threading off, and it actually wasn't bad at all. So I'm going to have to tell them that that's the way to unscrew these. But it screws in there. He said that there needs to be about 1/8 of an inch sticking out for some reason. So the 1/8 of an inch is how much this measures. Pretty much, it's actually 130 thousandths, which is 5 thousandths more. But they can just screw it in just slightly more until they get however much sticking out that they said they need. I think what happens is you have 2 of these in each end, and these bolts thread in. The bolts mount to something, and it allows them, whenever the ram goes up, it pulls the spring apart. Then when you release the pressure, the spring, sucks the ram back down the way it should. I think is what's going on. I didn't really need to know a whole lot about that, so I didn't ask no questions. He just needed these made. I told him I'd give it a shot, and I think they turned out okay. So he's going to try this out, make sure it's going to work the way they want, and if so, I'm going to make more of them. But anyway, just wanted to show that, just a kind of a little out of the ordinary custom deal. You can see the how that's about a 200 thousandths radius thread, basically, for a spring. Anyway, we're about done. You guys take care.